Let's talk about how to write a persuasive corporate tours page. I'm excited. So moving up, what we need to do, we need a page for corporate. We're going to talk about defining your reader, and then we're going to give some tips about what to write on those pages. So starting with number one here, we need a page for corporate. You can have a page for your private groups and private tours. I want you to have a separate page for corporate. I don't want those to blend over. Ideally, if you had the time and the budget, I would love to see a page for each one of the different markets that you're going after. I'd want to see a page for bachelor and bachelorette parties. I'd want to see a page for student groups. I'd want to see a page for church groups, whatever it is you're trying to do. And the idea is that behind that page, we want to have one goal. We want to make it easy for someone to read that page, understand that it's about them and what we want them to do. And where this idea behind this one goal comes from, a friend of mine really promotes this. She's a content optimizer over at Shopify. And it's one of the principles that they push there with a lot of the growth tactics that they have behind it is we need one page and one goal. What do we want someone to do on that page? We don't want to give them a choose your own adventure. We don't want to give them paralysis by choice by saying, here's 20 different things you can do. We're going to make it real easy for them to say, this is for you, and this is what we need you to do. And in order to do that, we want to start with just picking one person. It's so hard to write a corporate group page when you're trying to write that page for everybody, because you keep thinking of every small condition that you need to try and meet. We don't need to do that. And I often compare this back to, I compare it back to a love song a lot. And that Adele didn't write a love song for 1 million people. She wrote it for one, but 1 million people still connect it and still get something from it. And that's what you can do with the copy. That's what you can do with the writing and really targeting these to get it down to one person. And we need to know who is that person, because each person is going to carry with them differences, small differences. And with the number of tours we've worked with, this is what we see as one of the most unique things, is that really what you're offering is the combination of your unique tour to this unique person. And this is what allows multiple tours to exist in the same city and not compete and step on each other's toes, because you're targeting differently. One group may be targeting Elizabeth while another group is targeting the Britneys of the world. But we need to know who those people are. We need to know what little quirks do they have so we can say the right things to each one of them. And so this is why I want you to go through and really focus. Just pick one person. I want to know that it's the director of sales. I want to know that it's the head of HR at a 50-person company. Narrow it down. Get real specific about who you're trying to win, and it's going to have dramatic impact on being able to form that messaging to that person. Once we know who you're trying to go after, we need to figure out what to write on that page. And there's something that's changed with websites. And it's that websites used to be a digital storefront. This is where they grew from. It grew from in the late 90s of, hey, here's our digital store. We have our physical store, visit our digital store. Come on in, shop around, pick whatever you'd like off the shelves. Websites were treated more like a menu. And that's what we don't want to see. I don't want that corporate group page to just be a listing of here's what we offer. We don't want to hit on the what. We really want to hit on that why. Why does someone want to take this? And for that reason, the page needs to function more like a digital salesperson. It's having a conversation. That page is speaking to someone. The person doesn't get to speak back. It's a rather one-sided conversation, but it's a conversation nonetheless. And so we need to arm that digital salesperson with the right conversation to have with the person reading the page. And so for that, we want to picture that digital salesperson talking to that person when they arrive on the page. And what we push a lot is this idea of having a sales narrative behind your corporate tour page. Behind the copy, we want to have this structure behind it. A really common structure that we push is one called problem agitation solution. It's a PAS formula. And the idea is that we want to start the page talking about the problem that the person has. Then we want to agitate that problem. I want to poke it. I want to poke that problem until it's visceral, until they can feel it. So when they're reading that page, they say, man, yeah, that is a problem. That is a thing. We need to identify with them, not just give them that menu of services to see what you have. And it's looking at this sales narrative behind the scenes that then helps you write on top of that to make sure that you have a structured sales argument, which is what we need on that page. I need a sales argument, not just a menu. It cannot be a menu. We're going to give them too many options if you give them a menu. I need to guide them through it. Here's your problem. Doesn't it suck that this problem happens? Great. Here's how we solve that problem for you. And this is just one of the sales narratives you can use. There's also different ones of problem, agitation, promise, and action. We could look at attention, interest, desire, and action. And we're going to know which one of these to use based on who you're trying to convert and who you're trying to win. So it's really important. Again, first we need to define who's reading that page. Then we need to figure out what sales narrative are we going to use behind the scenes, and then writing on top of this. So when you look at the subcopy, you can see exactly what this is behind the scenes of the page. The other big thing I need you to do on this page is I can't have you selling your whole store. Again, it's not a digital store anymore. You can't just offer them everything. I need you to just sell to the next step. Just the next thing. What do they need to do next? I don't need them to read that page and say, I'm going to sign up for $10,000 right now and book your tour. For a lot of tours, we need to get them on the phone. We still need to talk to them next. So that's all we need to do. We just need to focus on making sure that page is just alluring enough that they're going to say, yeah, I'll give you a call to learn a little bit more about how you can help. And so sell to the next step. And we've seen this when we've tested before, working with tours on the call to action on the site, that we know we don't want the button on your site to say book now or buy tickets. Those words convert significantly lower than if the button on your site were to say see dates. When we've tested it, 25% more people entered the checkout process just by changing the words buy tickets to see dates. It's such a small change, but those little words have such a big impact. So when you're looking at the action that someone's going to take on that corporate group page, it's probably to call you. It's probably to schedule a call. We don't even know if we need them to fill out a form and go through a whole form process. If your one target guest does not want to fill out a form, don't make them fill out a form. Give them the option, just get on the phone with you, because then you can pick it up from there, hear what their problem is, and say, great, I can solve that problem for you. You have a problem getting your team of 20 together while they're in town, and half of them love to drink and half of them don't. Great, I can solve that problem for you. How you solve it is with the tour, but your solution is solving that problem of getting that group together. So always be looking at that problem, the solution, why they really want to book that tour with you, and not just a menu of services. As a little bonus, we have some copywriting tips. So some things to take away here, some things to avoid. Don't talk about how amazing you are. They're reading the page. They don't care about you. I'm sorry. Brian, Roger, Chelsea, you're wonderful. Heather, you're all wonderful people. They just don't care about you. They care about themselves. Talk about them. Talk about what's in it for them, not you. Avoid telling them every little thing that's included. Curiosity is part of your toolkit. Do not satiate their curiosity. You want to use that. We want to give them enough so they still want to call you, so they still want to reach out and take that next step. If we tell them everything, they may just say, I'll deal with this later and come back to it. Give them enough, but not too much. Avoid starting sentences with we, our, or the name of your tour. We see this a lot. We call it the we problem. When every sentence is we do this, we do this, we do this. That's about you. Don't talk about you. Avoid using rhetorical questions. When we think about all the work that went into getting this person to your corporate tour page, let's not waste their time with rhetorical questions. Answer that question for them. Don't have a headline that says, why take a tour with us? Tell me why I should take a tour with you. Don't make me guess. We're not here to make me guess. We're here to sell me. The salesperson isn't just going to sit there and give me rhetorical questions. Tell me what the answer is. Tell me why I want to take that tour with you. And then avoid using witty language, taglines, or trying to make things sound grandiose. I want you to cut through some of that. Another thing I want you to avoid, I want you to avoid putting too many sales arguments into a single sentence. If we look at the sentence on the left, we are simple to book, can handle your dietary restrictions, and will deliver a memorable experience. It's a lot to comprehend in one sentence. Instead, this is a memorable experience we customize to meet your dietary needs. Simplify it down. Get these words a little bit shorter. And so when we look at the do list of some things I want you to do, I do want you to answer their question of what's in it for me. When you read that page, you should be able to answer that question. When you show your corporate tour page to a colleague or a friend, they should be able to understand this is what I get out of it. And for that, I want to make sure you're using short, direct sentences. I want you to write at a 7th grade reading level. Keep it real easy to comprehend. I want you to use as few words as possible. And then I also want you to write for real people, not search engines. Search engines, I'd like you to consider if we're driving in traffic from search, yes, but I don't want a search engine page that's just layered with talking about hot dogs because we know that hot dogs rank high in search engines for some reason. Write for people, write for the person reading that page. I'd rather you convert more people who read that page than trying to get more people to come to that page. The other big thing I want you to do is look at starting sentences with the word you. So instead of we, our, or the name of your tour, a real nice little trick is just to rewrite the sentence, but start it with the word you instead. So in this example, our private tours are designed with custom pickup from your hotel or office and deliver a relaxing and entertaining dining experience. When it says our private tours, the person reading it needs to think, okay, that's what you do. What do I get? Oh, this is why I want it. There's this extra step that they have to think about, that they have to calculate in their head about why they want it. When you can start that word with you, we're immediately speaking in their language. It's something they can read and immediately see, oh, this is what I get. And these are the things we look for in conversion rate optimization. How do we just break down some of these barriers? How do we make things just a little bit easier? And so I hope these little copywriting tips, the idea of the sales narrative can help you get moving on some of this. And those are our 3 steps for moving up, is get that page specifically for corporate, define that one target corporate guest, and then write that sales narrative behind it. Have that subtext, and then use some of these pointers around those things to write.